High in where the breeze whispers through tall grass and hibiscus petals scatter along red earth roads, lived a young woman named in the town of she was admired, elegant, soft-spoken, and unreasonably beautiful. Her smile lit up market stalls, and her silence stirred more attention than most women's songs. Kwahu hilse fu abatifi. But Efua carried a truth no one saw. Though many men sought her hand, teachers, traders, and even a deputy from Accra, she declined them all. "She's too proud," some villagers said. "Or maybe she's waiting for someone rich," others muttered. But Efua wasn't waiting. She was hiding. Since she was 15, Efua had been gripped by an urge she couldn't control, a relentless craving that twisted her nights into shame. No prayer, no prophet, no herbal cleanse had silenced it. The desire wasn't love. It wasn't pleasure. It was something darker, like a fire buried in her skin that refused to die. Every morning she emerged, poised and composed, head wrap perfectly tied, eyes clear, voice steady. But by night the fire rose. She became someone she didn't recognize, someone she feared. Only 2 people knew her secret. Ama, ever faithful and gentle, and Yah, whose friendship came with eyes too sharp and a silence that often felt heavy. Efua's parents begged her to marry. "You are a woman of substance," her mother said. "You should be building a home." Efua only smiled. She'd mastered the art of hiding in plain sight. But in Abetifi, where the hills hold secrets and winds carry change, even silence doesn't last forever. And one day, without warning, change arrived in a white shirt and quiet eyes. By daylight, Efua moved like a woman, untouched by trouble. She arranged shea butter jars at the market, greeted elders with a respectful bow, and helped children with their reading under the mango tree. The townspeople admired her grace, steady, soft-spoken, proper. But the hills of Abetifi whispered more than praise. "She must be cursed," someone murmured at the tailor's shop. "She's hiding something," another added over ground nut soup. At night, Efua's true battle began. The craving returned like clockwork, an ache in her chest, a storm under her skin. She would slip into the dark, her sandals barely brushing the red soil, her shadow vanishing down quiet paths. Each encounter brought momentary relief and immediate shame. She hated it. Hated how powerless she felt, how broken she believed she was. The fire wasn't pleasure, it was punishment. Even Ama, though loving, didn't fully understand but Yah. Yah knew everything, and recently her concern had grown cold. Her glances lingered longer, her words became shorter. At home, pressure mounted. "Efua, you are not a girl anymore," her mother urged. "Marriage will settle you." Efua only smiled, folding laundry with shaking hands. She began to feel watched, not by people, but by judgment itself, and still no help came. Then one Sunday after church, as she picked ripe oranges from a roadside cellar, a man approached. His shirt was white, his demeanor quiet. "Good morning," he said with a nod. She looked up. His eyes were kind, calm, familiar, though she'd never seen him before. "My name is Kojo," he added. And for the first time in years, the fire inside Efua didn't rise. It paused. Kojo didn't speak much, but when he did, his words landed gently, like footsteps on soft ground. He had come to Abetifito support a health education project through his NGO in Accra. But what lingered in Efua's memory after that Sunday wasn't his mission. It was the way he saw her. Not like a prize or a mystery, but like a person. They met again that week outside the community library. She had just finished reading to the school children when he walked up, hands tucked into his pockets. "You're always giving," he said. "Do you ever get tired?" Efua laughed softly, surprised by how easy it was. "Only when I have to talk too much." From then on, they shared quiet conversations beneath neem trees, traded thoughts over roasted plantains, and laughed in spaces where words used to be hard. Kojo never pried, never pushed. He listened with full attention, like he saw something in her she had long stopped believing in. For the first time, Efua didn't feel like she was performing. Around him, she didn't have to hide. The fire inside her, usually loud and urgent, began to retreat like waves at low tide. Amma noticed the change. "He steadies you," she said one afternoon. "I see it." But Ya said nothing. Her eyes lingered on Kojo's face too long, and her smile didn't reach her eyes. Efua tried to stay guarded. She reminded herself not to dream too far. But when Kojo touched her hand during a walk and didn't let go, something softened. She wanted this, whatever it was, to last. And for the first time in years, she wondered, could love be a kind of healing? Efua had never believed in peace, not the kind that stayed. But Kojo was different. He didn't chase or charm. He showed up, stayed present, and spoke only when it mattered. They spent weekends under trees overlooking the hills, sipping sobolo and talking about dreams. Kojo told her about his late sister and how grief made him value quiet strength. Efua shared little, just enough to show her heart wasn't hollow. He never pushed for more. "I like the way you exist," he once said, watching her fold her wrapper after a church outreach. "You don't try to be noticed." Efua looked away, unsure how to respond. She wasn't used to being seen gently. Weeks passed, and Kojo became part of her rhythm. Her parents noticed. Amma smiled knowingly, and Ya's silence grew colder. One Thursday evening, as the sky dimmed and the call to prayer echoed faintly across town, Kojo took her hand near the old stone well. "I want to build something with you," he said softly. "If you'll let me." Efua's heart paused. Fear rose quickly, dragging memories behind it, secrets, shame, nights she couldn't speak of. But she saw no judgment in his eyes, only sincerity. "Yes," she whispered. "But I'm not perfect." Kojo smiled. "Neither am I. But I believe in grace." He brought a small golden ring the following week. Not flashy, simple, dignified, wrapped in kente cloth, and carried with humility. She accepted it with trembling hands. That night, Efua told Amma the news. They danced barefoot in the courtyard, laughing like children. But when Ya heard, she only said, No blessing, no joy. Just a thin smile and a quiet turn of the head. The hills of Abetefi were still, but something in the air had shifted. Of the three friends, Ya had always been the boldest. Polished nails, high heels on market days, and lips painted crimson even for funerals. She admired Efua, yes, but admiration is a thin veil for envy. When Kojo proposed, something in Ya cracked. She doesn't deserve him, she told herself. She can't keep a man. Not with that shame hiding under her skin. She had known about Efua's secret for years, knew how she crept out after dark. Knew the names of a few men, too. She had comforted her once, sincerely. But over time that pity curdled. Now, with Kojo's soft smile and Efua's joy blooming like the orange blossoms behind her house, Ya's patience snapped. The engagement celebration was set in Amma's family compound. Drummers ready, food ordered, kente sung. Efua's mother sang praises every morning. "A good man, finally," she beamed. But Ya had already made her move. A week before the ceremony, she visited a man in Kauka, one of Efua's old lovers, a man Efua barely remembered, but Ya never forgot. With a smile too sweet and words dipped in venom, she convinced him to give her something. A video. Grainy, dark, but clear enough. Ya paid him in silence. No one suspected a thing. The night before the engagement, Ya stood before her mirror, brushing her hair with slow, precise strokes. Her lips curled. She always thought she was better, she murmured. Tomorrow everyone will see. The sun rose bright over Betrayal, casting golden light over woven mats, strings of marigolds, and rows of seated guests. Drums echoed softly in the background. The air smelled of fried plantain, powder, and joy. Efua sat beneath a canopy of palm fronds, wrapped in gold and deep green kente, her wrists adorned with beads. Her mother's eyes glistened. Amma stood beside her, holding her hand. Kojo, in a white agbada, looked calm, hopeful. The traditional ceremony began. Libations were poured. Elders spoke blessings. Guests clapped and laughed. Then someone wheeled out a projector. "A surprise," the MC announced. "A look at the bride's journey." Efua froze. The screen lit up. At first, soft music. Photos of Efua as a child, helping in the community, smiling with Kojo. Then the image cut. Grainy footage. A dimly lit room. A woman, bare-skinned, unmistakably Efua. Her face turned slowly toward the camera. Gasps sliced through the compound. Someone dropped calabash. An elder shouted, "Off it!" But it was too late. Kojo stood. His face drained of all color. He stared at Efua, betrayal wrapped tight around his eyes. "Kojo, please," she whispered, rising in panic. He stepped back. "Did you think I wouldn't find out?" "I didn't know," she said, voice cracking. "I didn't know she would." But he was already walking away. Ya watched from the corner, her smile quiet. No guilt, no joy, just satisfaction. Amma rushed to Efua, who had collapsed to her knees, face buried in her hands. The drums had stopped. So had the wind. The celebration turned silence. The bride, once adored, now sat beneath the canopy of shame. 2 weeks after the broken ceremony, Efua left a Betefi dot. The whispers had grown louder than the wind. Children pointed. Women paused mid-conversation when she passed. Her parents stayed quiet, their eyes always searching but never meeting hers. Dot, with Amma's help, she traveled to Koforidua, to a discreet women's health center nestled behind a small chapel. There she met Madame Eno, a soft-spoken counselor who listened more than she spoke. "It is not a curse," Madame Eno said gently. "It is a condition. And conditions can be treated," Efua cried then. Not because she was weak, but because for the first time, someone had said she wasn't evil. Dot. She began therapy. Daily sessions at first, exercises, herbal and medical treatment, long walks under almond trees. On Sundays, she sat alone in the back row of church, head bowed, asking for nothing but peace. Each week, the fire dimmed, not vanished, but softened. She started journaling, pouring out memories she never dared say aloud. She wrote about Kojo, how his kindness undid her defenses, how his absence haunted her more than her shame. Then, one morning, a small brown envelope arrived. Inside, a hand-carved wooden comb etched with her initials, and a letter. Efua, I don't know everything, but I know pain when I see it. I know you never meant to lie. I'm sorry for walking away without listening. If you still want peace, I would like to find it with you. Kojo, she held the letter to her chest, tears tracing quiet paths down her cheeks. Healing, she now understood, wasn't just treatment. It was being seen and still being chosen.